Zimbabwe, like many other countries, has more women. 52% of the country's population are women. However, this majority is not reflected in the social, political, and economic spheres of life. This imbalance is even more visible in elected political leadership. Women have continually been relegated to being cheerleaders to male politicians. It is this background that informed the advocacy of the women's movement in Zimbabwe. The movement advocated for a constitution that provided for equal opportunities for men and women across all spheres. Subsequently, Sections 17, 56 and 80 of the Constitution provide for gender parity. Section 124B was further added to provide for 60 seats for women in Parliament. This was meant to bridge the gap between men and women in leadership.
We see the quota system as an affirmative action which actually increased the number of women in Parliament, because without the quota system the number of women would have been very small, but the quota system has managed to increase the number of women. And obviously the numbers, if you increase the numbers, obviously the participation of women in Parliament has also increased because of the quota system. So we welcome it. It was a positive initiative in terms of increasing the number of women and participation of women in Parliament.
The coming in of the PR, it has its own successes, and I'm very grateful that it has been honored.
The positives that has come from the 60 seats or the PR system that we have had in Zimbabwe is that it has dramatically increased the number of women in governance, especially in our Senate. We now have a 50-50 representation, and in Parliament the numbers have also drastically increased. So we are really happy for that. And it has also shown that women can contribute to debates in Parliament in larger numbers, and we have seen such dynamism in our Parliament as a result of that increased representation that we have had in Parliament. And I think that representation, the PR system that we have had, it also shown that women can be united, women can advocate and come together with such critical changes in our governance system in Zimbabwe.
I think it has been effective in increasing the number of women across the board.
Given the limited role that women have played in leadership positions before, I think it was a good starting point to say, let's create a quota system which quickly bumps up women to decision-making positions.
When it was introduced, more women getting into Parliament, in particular in the lower house, and also through the PR system in the Senate. The PR system is brought about by our electoral system that we have as a country, which is a hybrid system.
124B, however, expires in 2023. It was envisaged that after 10 years, modalities to guarantee gender equity would have been put in place. It is against this background that Walpe and SAPST are celebrating the achievements of women under the women's quota system.
Ndikanosimudzira madzimai zvakanyanya nchiita projects andaifanda nemari yangu. I would fund them to sow, fund them gardening projects, horticulture, by buying seeds nchienda kuvapa. And ndavapa seeds kudaro, I would also fund them for material to sew their own uniforms as clubs, so that when they can identify themselves when going to the community with the club.
What we did as women through the Women's Caucus was to help each other. We did not look at who is coming from which party. We just said where there's potential, we will help each other. And we made sure when the portfolio committees were set up, we lobbied for women to be chairing some of those committees. And one of the committees that did very well, or one or two, was the gender committee chaired by Beata Nyampinga.
And ndichinososo makidze bora kuimpawa ma youth edu
vasikana vakomana kuti vasaengage into prostitution, vakomana vasaengage into drugs.
I've been both a member of parliament who was coming from a specific constituency, elected at a constituency level, directly elected at a constituency level, and I've been a member of parliament who has come through the proportional representation. I've not felt any inferior because I've come through a particular system. What I did when I came in 2000 is no different from what I'm doing right now. I must say to you, the first time I was representing a province was when I was representing Mat South. And one of the main issues that I really spoke about was the issue around devolution, around the issues of marginalization of the people of Matabeleland, but in particular to actually bring the Ndebele language for conversation in the house. If you remember, when we started then in 2013, there was an attitude around using your own vernacular language, in particular around using Ndebele, and we had a lot of fights on that particular issue. And that would be one thing that I would think is a legacy, something that I changed. Now it's acceptable. Now no one questions the issue that somebody can stand up and speak in Ndebele.
The access to birth certificates and identity documents in Zimbabwe as a whole, let alone wherever Bulawayo, is a national crisis. I got the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights in Bulawayo, and we did a thing in a peri-urban part of Bulawayo Central constituency, where we managed to get documents for more than 300 people. That to me was a huge actual achievement. And it's something I want to try and replicate now by bringing that issue. But I don't know what it is that why the government don't want to assist to get those documents, and it is a national crisis.
What I've done in my constituency, the first thing that I did, my constituency consists of 3 wards. It happened that the minister allocated the stands to a private developer, of which that private developer akambo service akambichana then avoti vanhu ngavatange kuita sei kuaka wabva uya uzogara ipapo kusina mvura kusina magetsi. So with the help of eWild in Bulawayo, then we started petitioning that person who was allocated those things, Shoniwa. Then we started pushing. We ended up engaging even the mayor. Then, and I think it was a success because he had phase 1 and phase 2. I understand phase 1 already they're now having a month, and they are just waiting for phase 2.
The females that managed to get into parliament managed to raise very pertinent policy issues, especially on issues that affect women. For example, they raised issues to do with maternal health, free user fees for maternal health, as well as free sanitary wear for poor girls. And they also raised issues to do with protection of girls from early child marriages and also from sexual exploitation.
Ndakazopinda ne-proportional representation yakatibatsira zvekuti dzimweni dzenguva dai kwakuti takapinda futi mukukwikwidzana nevanhurume sevanhukadzi taisawanawo mukana iwoyo wokuti tipinde muparliament nekuti kazhinji madzimai tokurirwa nemaresources. Nazvino tikuramba tichimiririra nenyaya early child marriages kuti ngaaregedze kuvako.
More women in decision-making platforms mean that representative democracy becomes a reality. The current imbalance, where the majority of the population are not fully represented, is a violation of the Constitution.
From a sustainability point of view, I think there should be greater expectations beyond the allocation of seats when you are considering genuine representation, which is effective.
Let us go beyond, for there to be that transformation, let us go beyond 2023 and still have it enforced. The amendment, the Constitution can be amended.
With improved numbers of women in the legislature, it meant women's issues were now being articulated and put into policy.
our thinking is that it would be good that the system continues, but probably slightly change from the way it is at the moment. Because at the moment it's only for National Assembly seats. So to reflect it through all the levels of society would need proportional representation even in local governance level. This will then help even when we are now structuring the provincial councils that we are talking about when it comes to devolution, that we even see gender equality represented in all levels of governance in our country, from local authorities to the provincial councils to the National Assembly, and there would not be any gap. So that's how we would propose that proportional representation, especially the quota system, seats be reflected.
Ndine zvakawanda zvendadzidza muparliament zvinogonekwa nemunhukadzi, zvakawanda zvinogonekwa nemunhukadzi. Saka ini ndiri kuti PR inofanirwa kuenderera mberi.
As we are now coming to the end of the proportional representation, I foresee that the percentage is going to go down, because when we talk to the political parties, the issue of the primary elections, most of the women cannot afford to have the resources to make sure that they win the primary elections. The women of Zimbabwe wanted at least the issue of 50-50.
Okay, kana watakusisina ndaifunga kuti ototizvo panyaya yokota yedu kutaura panyaya yokota ngatichiita 50-50 zvese kuma-constituency kuti constituency each kuma-constituency topuwa ma-constituency yatinokwikwizana isusu madzimai tega.
What I would actually recommend is, as a commission, we need affirmative action, because if we are going to go by competition, obviously women are not going to make it. So we feel that we need some affirmative action in form of a quota system. Maybe it might be improved, but we need some form of a quota system for women to be able to effectively participate and be represented in parliament.
As it is now, I think there's need for discussion on what we really want as women moving forward. Do we really want to continue the quota system, or do we need to really go back to the drawing table and maybe redraw our demands as women?
To push for the alignment and fulfillment of our constitution, especially section 1756 and 8 that speaks to gender equality and the empowerment of women. We also need to go beyond the borders in the region and in the international community and fulfill some of the instruments, for example, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 5 that speaks to gender equality and equal participation of women in leadership, because when she rises, we all rise.